Here we go.
Hey, it's Consumer Will, and pretty excited about this today. One of my friends, Scratchy 101, has received his Flite 95. This thing came out about 2 weeks ago, and it's been quite the hot item. So this is the official first impression / unboxing. The item was ordered how long ago?
Wednesday last week. So.
Wednesday last week, and he received it 6 days later. So pretty fast shipping from US to Canada. So they're doing a pretty good job with all the service end of things. And there, look at that. So there it is there. So it's a pretty big box. So we're just going to unpack here. And they put lots of stuffing in, and this is it. So let's get rid of this big box. Get rid of that. Alright. So there it is, officially the Flite 95. Now in comparison, you look at that box, and this is the Dragon Force box. So the model is definitely quite a bit larger than the Dragon Flite, but at the same time, the height of it, it's about the same height. Okay, so here we go. Let's really get into this thing now. So this is what you can expect when opening up the box for the Dragon Flite 95. There it is. So right away, my initial impression is, look at this. Look at what they've done with the sails. The sails are Mylar, and it's really important because Mylar tends to crease really easily. So what they've done is they've used a nice piece of cardboard to keep the sails flat. So contrary to Dragon Force 9 or Dragon Force 65, where they roll up the sails, they've done actually a really good job of making sure that the sails are kept flat and uncreased. So that's really cool. We'll take a look at those a little bit later. Going into the box here, got some foam packaging, and this is the nitty gritty. So here's the new instruction manual now. Word has it is they've done a lot better job with the way to build this model out. The wording is much better, and they also include a lot of tips that would, you typically find have to look for online. They've actually gone in and added it all in there. So the illustrations and measurements, they all look really great. Don't have time to read through it, but we've done an excellent job with this one. Alright, so there's the manual. Let's get into the model. So looks to me that's the main boom, and the parts are very similar to the Dragon Force, but it looks to me the plastic is actually a lot more high quality and durable. It definitely feels a lot more stronger, almost like the plastic that you'd find on touring car models, suspension arms. Okay, which is a big bonus. Everything's measured up here. So that's the main. That one looks like the jib, so the counterweight's a lot stronger. This one's a little loose. I definitely recommend putting thread lock on there, making sure it doesn't move around too much. Alright. And as before, you've got a lot of the boat stand stuff. And like the Dragon Force, it looks like you'll be assembling the mast for the boat. This, I believe, would probably go down in here. And so definitely get yourself a nice straight edge to glue this together with. Make sure it's all straight. Maybe if you need to use a laser level or something like that to line it all up, that's a good idea too. Okay, so there's that. We got the boat stand. Got a really nice, nicely packaged bag of nuts and bolts, and looks to me the rudder arm is the same as the Dragon Force. This is really cool. The Dragon Flite, they've talked about it, about the amount of carbon that they're using, and it's really kind of cool. The head crane on it is carbon fiber, and it looks like it's about a 2-3 mil piece of carbon fiber. Very cool. And what else we got here? All right, so here's the rudder. So the rudder has a nice little profile to it.
Hold it up to the Dragon Force. I bet you it's the same size.
So we're just going to compare here with the Dragon Force, and there it is. No, it's a little bit bigger. But you can see the profile's a lot different. So they've gone to something that looks like would hug the hull a little bit better. It doesn't have that rounded top there. And it is a plastic rudder. So there you go. All right, we're gonna unbox the sails here. One thing to note, make sure you peel the tape and do not cut along here, because they're Mylar and I suspect they're pretty sensitive to knife blades and stuff. So definitely peel away take your time, peel away the plastic, don't wreck your sails. Over here, you'll notice this little wire. Okay, that's literally, I believe that's probably for the jib tabling. Don't pull on it, just leave it there. Okay, so we're gonna unbox these and check them out. So slowly undo this. So definitely take your time with the tape, and woo, there they are. So these are the stock sails. They're out of Mylar. Feels like a 2.5 mil Mylar. They got some nice thick battens on them, and they have eyelets all throughout. Okay, and what's cool about them too is that they've printed on the draft lines. So they have draft lines. They have the logo with the naming of the rig. So they're pretty good. Like, I mean, for like out of production sales for the model, they're pretty good. Like, I would have to say the best production sales that you can buy, because companies like Tamiya and Aquacraft and all that, they do not have the same quality sails. Those are more model sails, whereas on here, these sails are meant for racing. And just taking a look here, they've done actually a pretty good job with the jib tabling. It's nice and straight. There's a little bit of scalloping up here, but for the most part, you can live with that. Taking a closer look here, so they've already put in the crimping on the wire, and it is nice and loose. One thing to point out, so the model's been out 2 weeks, and Scratchy received an email today from the radio sailing guys doing their customer service, their great customer service, basically saying they've noted a few things that have come up with this model, and one of them was the jib tabling. Sometimes this tape sticks on the inside here and you wouldn't be able to move the wire. So they sent out an email to all the customers saying, we know about this and this is how you correct it. You know what, you're not going to get that kind of customer service with any other sailing model that's out there right now. So good on them to know about the problem and take care of it right away. So these are them. So there's a bit of, there's a bit of stuff here, and that's not bad. Mylar, the way it is, they're so hard to keep from getting like creases and stuff. But overall, very good stock sails. We've got, they've been cut certain ways to allow for some room up top here, right? And to note too as well, this jib tabling, this is a stiffer material, so it'll definitely help keep things pointed nice. All right, well done on the sails. So there you have it for the sails. All right, so just going through the box some more. So that's the rudder. It is a plastic, has a nice profile to it. So that's that. Now it looks to me this is a almost ready to run kit. So the compartment for the radio doesn't not have a radio. So there you have it there. Future kits will have a radio. Okay, let's get into this. This is what I'm very, very excited about. This is a carbon fiber keel, and it's just absolutely beautiful. Look at that. Look at that. Just beautiful profile. And I'm just going to take a quick measurement of it to see how thin it is. So at the highest point, it looks like it's about 4.5 mil. Okay, so comparing it to something that's an IOM, 4.5 mil is pretty good. I know the sails, etc., and the Bangkok ones, they're about as thin. They're a little bit longer, but they're thin. And just looking at the profile there, so yeah, it's a pretty good profile. And the big thing about this is, whoa, that is stiff. Look at that. That does not flex at all. So that is one super bonus piece of equipment. Nice. So, keep in mind, this is a $400 model right now. And an IOM keel like this would typically run you about $180 US, so half the price of the boat. Okay, so that's that. This next part, this is the keel bulb. It's wrapped in paper, which is nicely appreciated. It's held in place with wood. So let's take a look at that. Wow. Now I know with the Dragon Force, I actually put a hole in my hand because the keel was super sharp on the end. So we'll just take a look at this here, and look at that. Nice. Not a scratch on it. Nice profile to it. And one thing that look at that. It's a flattened keel tail. Give it some extra stability there. Help it plane. And that's fairly sharp. But it's a very nicely put together keel bulb. Well done. Well done. Okay, so let's get that back into a nice safe place here. Right. And you can see by the profile of this here, how it goes together, what they've done to flatten it out. So maybe that's what contributes to how it goes downwind. Deck patch material for there. Okay, now this is the moment that I'm sure you all have been waiting for. This is the hull. And this whole boat weighs in at 2 kg. And wow, this is amazing. If you notice here, they've got little markings for adjustment of the mast step. That's a great little feature. Help you tune your boat. Shroudless, and all it is just one backstay and one jib stay tension here. Now, just having a feel of the hull, it is ABS, so you know it feels a lot thicker. You can tell by this profile right here. This is a nice thick ABS hull. So there's a bit of flex to it, but for the most part, it's nice and thick. Looking at the front profile, where the jib will attach and the sheet runs and all this, pressing down, this has a lot of reinforcement up here. It starts getting a little bit loose around here, but most of the strength is up here where you really want it anyways. Okay, and going down to the back here, so there's a little chine here. And the drain plug, that's interesting. Okay, the drain plug is actually on top of the deck. So I suppose you could do it like that, but that's interesting. I thought maybe it might be back here or something, but that's something to point out. Another thing here is where the rudder hole is. Looks like one solid piece of plastic. Now I want to check something because there's a lot of talk about the Dragon Force and how loose it is back there. So we're just going to do a quick fit here and see how it feels. So that goes in there, and see how tight it is to the hull there. There's probably about a 1.5 millimeter gap. And just looking at the swing, look at that. That's nicely built, and look at this, is barely, it's in there pretty good. Well done, Joysway. You sure did a good job fixing that. Because once you get the rudder arm attached there, it's gonna be nice and tight. So well done. Okay, so there's that. So that's one of the tests there. What else? Okay, well, we got our standard on-off switch. Now, one little thing here I want to check to see if there's any sort of what's that called? The rudder arm, if it's gonna bind, if there's any play or anything.
Okay.
So there's barely any play, which is great, and it looks like it doesn't actually bind on anything. So, and just looking down in there, it doesn't look like there's anything that would kind of make it bind either. So that's nicely done. Looks like a lot heavier duty sail winch, which is great. And they've one thing about the tray is that they've got these reinforcing edges along here. So the tray, as suspected, feels a lot stiffer and doesn't swing side to side or twist. And I'm hoping the new Dragon Force will have that feature. Also, it looks like there are 6 screws to hold the tray in versus, oh well, there we go. The Dragon Force has 8 screws holding it in, but
2 different trays.
2 different trays. So maybe for the new one, what they'll do is they'll connect that so that it'll retain some stiffness there. Also, another thing to note, sheet ring here is a lot nicer than the Dragon Force one, and mine is stuck in there for some reason. And that's why I was losing a few races. Anyways, so a lot cleaner sheet ring there. It is larger by looks like about 50% there. And overall, like, I mean, pretty impressed by this. Plastic wise, they've gone to a nicer, heavier duty plastic. They've used some really cool parts, and just taking some measurements here. Sorry for the squeakiness. So comparing it to, say, the Dragon Force, as far as width. So there it is there, look at that. So it's fairly narrow. And it's got quite a bit of buoyancy, it looks like, in this section of the hull here, which is kind of cool. So just as wide as the Dragon Force throughout. Okay. And one other thing about the hull. Let's take a look at the hull here. And what we're going to do is we'll do a pre-fit of the keel fin here. Now, this is where you can start telling why this thing is so fast downwind. They've put a lot of, looking at the center line, they put a lot of buoyancy up front. They flatten out the back, and there you have it. Look at that. When looking at the angle here, or the curve, sorry,
The rocker.
the rocker. On IOMs, they tend to have the rocker centered. Well, on this, it's definitely not centered, and it's heavier up front. So wow.
The keel also looks farther aft than most boats.
Yeah. Fits in there nice. Alright, so let's take that out. Another thing I want to check here. So we know that it's, just looking down at the hull profile, so we know it flattens out in the back. But what's nice too is it's nice and straight up and down in the front. So it'll definitely dig into those waves quite nice. And another cool thing about this boat is the front bumper feels very flush. So a lot of you guys won't have to take off your bumper and modify it, but this one's a little loose, so I recommend putting a little bit something in there. But I think it's coming apart a little bit there, so definitely put something in there. Construction wise of the hull, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but
No seam.
there's no seam, right? So on the Dragon Force, there's this little seam here that's happened. Well, on the Dragon Flite, there's no seam at all. So, very well made boat. Oh, I'm kind of jealous here. Alright, so hey, I'm Consumer Will. I'm very impressed by this, and definitely gonna have to get my hands on my own. But maybe if I kick Scratchy out, he can. Anyways, very nicely done. Thanks for watching, and get out there sailing, you guys. It's a great hobby. Cheers.
Cheers.